Hello and welcome to Connected, episode 487. It's made possible this week by ZocDoc and Squarespace. My name is Stephen Hackett, and I'm joined by Mr. Mike Hurley.
Hello, Stephen Hackett. My name is Mike Hurley, and I'm joined by Federico. I'm joined by Federico Fadighi. Hi, Federico.
Hello, Stephen Hackett. Hello, Mike Hurley. It is me, Federico. Yes.
I'm so sorry. The week after I said I don't want to hear any variations of your name, I just absolutely butcher it.
You really did.
Fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I crashed hard into your name there. I apologize.
It's a big week. We have emoji to name. We have Apple versus the EU. We have Vision Pro reviews. But first, we have follow-up. And we should wish each other happy birthday, Mike.
Happy birthday, Federico.
Happy birthday, OTJ.
Happy birthday, guys.
Happy birthday, everyone. No, this is the traditional Stephen and Mike birthday week. It's bang in the middle. Stephen's birthday was a couple of days ago on the 28th. Yeah, and mine is tomorrow, the 31st. So it is that time again. Happy birthday, everyone.
Yeah, Mike is turning 26 tomorrow. Yep. So,
and Stephen just turned 65.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. Happy birthday.
We bought each other the same gift.
Basically, yeah.
We did.
I bought Stephen the iPhone 10 grid frame thing.
Ooh,
you know the grid frames?
Yeah.
It's because it's also the 10th year of Relay. So I was like, oh, that's like
on theme. Okay.
2 gifts in one.
Mm-hmm.
And I received my gift from Stephen yesterday. And Adina watched me open it, and she was like, you look very happy. A big smile on my face. Stephen bought me the grid of the iPhone 6 Plus.
Ooh, Plus Club.
AKA the Mike was right phone.
Exactly.
Made me very happy. Happy.
And I didn't know what you had gotten me when I ordered your gift. That's what's funny about this. And
it's very good.
I opened your gift to me, and I was like, oh, look what we did.
Mm-hmm. Stephen, do you have the grid with all the enamel pins, or did I misremember that?
I do have that. Mary gave me that last year, I think.
Because I was thinking about buying you one of those, but yes, you have one, and so that was why I didn't do that. And then I went, and then I was like, oh, the iPhone 10, that's the one to do.
I do have one. So yeah,
cool
happy
too.
birthday.
Happy birthday, everyone.
Listener Randall wrote in asking, where have you all landed on watchOS 10, specifically the side button and the loss of the old dock? I found widgets to be a good replacement. They are glanceable, and I use them to get my favorite apps quickly. Curious what y'all think.
Yeah. Still hate the button change. Never use widgets. And for the past few days, I've been looking into, just out of curiosity, like, does Fitbit still exist?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's just going well, basically, is what you're saying.
No, but Sylvia has been asking me, well, like, hey, so Sylvia brought up this idea of, like, you know what, like, I don't really use the Apple Watch much after all. Like, are there any alternatives that are smaller? So it all started with this question that Sylvia had, like, are there smaller smartwatches? And I started doing some research, and I realized that not only is Fitbit still around, but they have some pretty cool looking, more slim devices, like the Charge 6. Looks pretty neat. Now, I'm not going to get a Fitbit for myself, but I think it's interesting. All this to say, I'm at the point where I really dislike the changes of watchOS 10, and I still find myself wanting the Apple Watch to do more than it does. Like, I don't know, give me a watch with a camera, give me like more things that I can do with the watch. But Randall, I landed where I was months ago. I dislike the changes in watchOS 10.
Are you talking about Fitbit? I was reminded a few days ago, I think on Threads, someone posted a picture of the jawbone up.
Oh, gosh.
Which is like the peak of fitness tracking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that and the Nike Fuel Band. It was a real showdown back in the day.
Fuel Band. Yeah.
Yes. These were good products that we pour one out for. We'll never see something like this again because everyone wants to put a screen on everything now. I will say probably the opposite. Like I really like widgets. I use them a lot. I'm the only thing that I miss is like the quick access to certain applications, and so I use the multitasking for that because usually I only use like 4 apps on my Apple Watch, so like they're always kind of there, just not in the order that I want. I've gotten pretty used to the side button too. Like I do kind of wish I could do something else with it, but I use the widgets a lot, and most of the things that I want are in the widgets, and then I have one of those like widget launcher things at the bottom right where it's got like the 3 apps that I want to open.
Yeah. Yep.
And between all of that, like I'm pretty good at it. Like I think I dig it. I think I dig WatchOS 10.
I still want some sort of wristband that does everything the Apple Watch does, but without a screen. But
yes,
I don't.
yes,
Never going to get it
Yeah,
because I'd like
I've
to
given
wear
up on that dream.
a different watch, but still track all my stuff. But
I kind of want Apple to make a smart ring.
Yeah.
Now the smart rings are sort of a thing after CES. That idea of like a display-free Apple tracker, that idea speaks to me more and more, I think. Because the thing is, I really don't want to give up the safety, the peace of mind that the Apple Watch gives me with the heart rate sensor and, the sleep tracking, and just being aware that there's an Apple accessory that checks on me. Like I don't want to give up on that, but increasingly, I don't know if maybe WatchOS 10 was sort of the catalyst of this. I used to use it more, and I'm sure there's a component of that is it used to be easier for me to check on a couple of apps that I use a lot on the watch, and now it's harder to open those apps. So I'm sure there's an element of that somewhere. But like I said, I'm not going to get a Fitbit, but Sylvia might. So we'll see.
You guys know that I tried the Oura Ring last year?
You did? You did?
Yeah. No.
I forgot. Either I forgot.
No,
or
this
I
isn't.
know
No,
this.
you didn't forget. He didn't tell us.
For like a month.
There was no forgetting here.
How was it?
So I've had my wedding band tattooed on my hand for years, so I haven't worn an actual ring in a long time. That was the weirdest part for me, is having something on my hand again.
Okay.
But it was like, I really just came down to it, like, I want everything in one place. And at least a year ago, some stuff worked with Apple Health better than others with the Oura Ring. And so I ended up going back to the Apple Watch and returning it. But every once in a while, I'm like, maybe I should have given that more time. Maybe I should have given it a better shot. But what I really want is that Apple Band so much. Just do it, Apple. Come on.
They're never going to do it. I mean, like my thing of like, there could be all these products and stuff like the Oura Ring. There's stuff like that, right? Fitbits, whatever. My issue is it's not going to go into the rings, and I like the rings.
Yep.
Yeah, at least it doesn't go the way that I want it to. So
Sasha wrote in, I wear makeup every day, as many people do. I always try to avoid the situation where makeup rubs off onto my clothes. I guess the light shield on the Vision Pro may look pretty gruesome if I used the headset.
Yeah.
There's no way around that. The answer is yes. It's going to be bad.
I think so. And I thought about that watching. We'll get to them. But, I think we all watched a bunch of review videos today for the Vision Pro. And especially watching MKBHD's video unboxing it. The whole thing is like white and cloth and like light gray. And it's all very clean and pristine. And all I could think about, in addition to this comment, but just like generally, this thing may look really grungy in a year.
Oh, like think how dirty your Apple Watch bands get.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's going to be gross.
It's going to be gross.
I wonder who's going to be the first third-party manufacturer to make a makeup-resistant Vision Pro compatible light seal.
And like bands, like there's going to be. I'm looking forward to the different bands that people will make. Like I'm
like a big leather one.
I'm thinking like just different ways of attaching it to you. Maybe stuff that has like maybe more counterbalancing in, and like I'm intrigued to see what people make, like when this thing is available and people can kind of like tool around with it and come up with some stuff.
Real time follow up. Oura now makes because everyone does, a brushed titanium ring.
Okay.
Oh,
there you go.
Should we try the Oura rings?
No.
As a group?
No. What do you want to make this like what was that show where like all the kids have rings? You know what I'm talking about?
What?
Like,
No.
there was
No.
like a cartoon show.
Kids have
Well,
rings. Super Friends?
It is like, maybe, I don't know. I don't remember. Like the rings, you turn the rings. And they
Captain
would, like,
Planet and the Planeteers?
It probably was Captain Planet. Yeah, it was probably Captain
I've
Planet.
never heard of this in my life.
Maybe that's it. But like, that's gonna be us. We're gonna be like a band of having our little rings. Yeah, I don't want to do it. I mean, if you guys want to do it, I mean, clearly Stephen already has. Federico, I like welcome it, but I'm not. I don't want to wear one of these things.
Let me just read this a little bit. Our world is in peril. Gaia, the spirit of the earth, can no longer stand the terrible destruction plaguing the planet. She sends 5 magic rings to 5 special young people.
Oh, I thought it was from the Aura website.
Power
Okay.
of the earth, power of fire, power of wind, power of water, and most importantly, the power of heart. When the 5 powers combine, they summon Earth's greatest champion, Captain Planet. Go, Planet!
Captain Planet.
He's a hero.
The power is yours.
Captain Planet. Okay.
So we got that
So-
covered.
Okay. So who would win in a fight between Captain Planet and the Mother Earth that Apple showed in the video?
I mean, Captain Planet is a superhero, so
It's true. This show had 6 seasons. How?
Captain Planet ruled, but it was terrible. Like, Captain Planet is one of these things where, like, they had like a different view of what being environmentally friendly was, right? And it was like personal responsibility was its kind of vibe, which, Gaia was voiced by Whoopi Goldberg, so.
Okay.
Cool.
And Captain Planet had a green mullet.
Who doesn't? I mean,
Okay.
it's very much in...
Because, like, to give you the idea of what I'm saying about the different time, like, they made Captain Planet plastic action figures. Think about that.
Okay.
You know?
It's
It was a different
good.
time.
Take that,
Obviously
Mother
good for
Earth.
the obviously good for the environment.
It was a different time, man.
I have a very small piece of follow up that I have labeled for now. Mike may be right.
Okay.
So it's not a definitive assessment of Mike's level of correctness. So Mike may be right. I am trying, and this has been going on for the past 24 hours. I'm trying to see if Mike was or wasn't right about using the iPhone without a case. Yeah, it's been, I gotta tell you, I just yesterday, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna, spice things up a little bit here with this iPhone, and I'm gonna take out the case and I'm gonna use the iPhone without a case. It's maybe a silly thing, but there's something about using the iPhone without the case that makes me, of all things, makes me appreciate the display more. And I think it's the lack of the sort of edges of the case around it. The fact that it's like a flush display, almost edge to edge on the 15 Pro Max, that it makes me appreciate the phone's screen more. That's what I've noticed so far. I dislike the lack of peace of mind, basically knowing that I will damage this device somehow at some point if I keep doing this. But so far, like I look at it like right now, it's on my Anchor Cube charging, and I'm looking at the display. And I'm like, that's a really cool display in a way that I wasn't appreciating it as much before when you put a case around it.
Well, I'm happy that you're living free, you know?
Well, like I said, it's just, don't count
feels
this
good.
as a victory yet.
I haven't yet because you haven't decided, but it feels good. It just feels good.
Yeah. So this is the first installment of this maybe mini MMBR series. Mike may be right. We'll see if Mike may be right about other things in the future. But yeah, that's my update so far. Oh God.
Welcome back to the Quizzies, the quiz show within a podcast where I, Mike Hurley, quiz my connected co-hosts randomly and by surprise on a variety of varying subjects. As happened last year, the Quizzies has eaten the Jeremies and has absorbed the Jeremies inside of the Quizzies. So here we are. It's time for the Jeremies. What are the Jeremies inside of the Quizzies, you may ask?
Oh my God.
It's where we take a look at the new emoji that have been added to iOS, and Federico has to try and guess the names. This year, there are 6 emoji. There's not a lot of emoji. So to be fair, they have added many more, but they are not like really things worth trying to get Federico to guess. Like they added a selection of family emoji that are just outlines, and it's just like various combinations of the word adult and child. Like, for example, there is one emoji that is called family, adult, adult, child, child. There's just no point in having Federico guess that. Also, there is a selection of emoji that were moving in one direction, and now they have them moving in the other direction. So person facing right and person facing left.
So it's the peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter release.
Peanut butter bread.
Basically, yeah. So, but there are 6 emoji that are new with new designs. We haven't had them before. They're like brand new things. That is what we're going to be quizzing Federico on. And here is where the quizzes take the Jeremies and make it part of the game. So we are currently, this year, as you remember, we reset scores every year. The scores for 2024 is Steven is at 300 points in the quizzes and Federico is at 100 points in the quizzes. Well, today we're going to slightly adjust the possible points available. Like, so last time we did this, there was a 5 and 10 points on the line for what we'll get to in a minute. I'm going to change it because there's so few emoji. It would make the game kind of inconsequential if the maximum points scored were available with just 60. It doesn't really seem that great. So for every emoji that Federico gets correct, he will score 15 points.
Whoa.
Okay.
For every emoji Federico gets wrong, Steven scores 20 points.
What?
Ooh.
No.
Well, okay.
It didn't do anything to deserve those points.
Let's talk about this. Whoa. Hang on a second. Last time we did this, it was because it was just more likely that Federico was going to get them correct. So what if this time we just even it out at 20 and 20? That's what we're going to do. So Federico, you get 20 points if you get the name correct. Steven gets 20 points if you get it wrong. Last time as well, there was a bet put on the line that I don't know if either of you, if you want to get into this time, where if Federico got 80% of them correct, we doubled his points.
Okay.
I'll take that.
But again, like, you'll take that?
Yeah. Let's live. It's only January. There's plenty of time. Let's live it up.
It didn't go in the other direction, though, so we'll do that again. So, Federico, if you get 80% correct, which I'll do the math in a minute, then you'll get double points at the end of it.
Yeah, that's 80% of 6.
4?
Probably.
Get
4.8.
I'm going to say 4.
Okay.
Federico, if you get 4 correct, you'll get double points.
Okay.
So there's a lot of points on the line here, all right?
Let's
do this.
Come back to hurt you, Steven.
Okay. And I will say, for the sake of it, I am getting the names of these emoji from Emojipedia.
Okay.
And I, as Quizzy Master, will decide how correct I will want you to be, Federico.
Okay.
So we start top left.
Top left. Okay. So I'm looking at this image, 6 emoji. Start top left. Okay. So what I'm looking at is... So the first one is very similar to the second one. So I think I gotta understand the first one, and if I get it wrong, I still have the other one. So I'm looking at, this is not the name that I'm gonna give. I'm looking at a head. So these are 2 heads. One is saying no, and the other is saying yes. However, I don't think that Apple will, or that the Unicode Consortium will label this like saying yes or saying no. These are heads shaking. Now, are they shaking left or right, or are they shaking horizontally? Like, what terminology are they using? I'm gonna go with this first one. Head shaking horizontally.
If there's one thing Federico Fetici knows, it is the way that the Unicode Consortium thinks. Because this emoji is called head shaking horizontally. That is 20 points for Federico.
Okay. So if that's correct, then the second one would be head shaking vertically.
Would you believe it?
No.
That is correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Can you
Oh
imagine
my
if they
God.
were
Oh
like
my God.
heads saying yes?
Oh my God. So the third one is interesting because obviously in mythology, this is a phoenix. However, I think there's a catch here because I don't think, knowing these folks, I don't think they would just label an emoji phoenix because it could be confused with the city. Phoenix, Arizona, I want to say. Right? You got to think how they think. So they need to add some kind of descriptor. Now, they wouldn't say red or orange phoenix because it's a gradient of color in this little emoji. So they're gonna use some kind. They're gonna have a descriptor for the kind of creature that it is. And my thinking is that obviously a phoenix in mythology, it's a bird that rises from the ashes. Now, I don't think they're gonna call it like flaming bird. I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna call it phoenix. I'm gonna go with phoenix bird.
So this emoji is just called Phoenix,
Oh my God!
and I think I can't give it to you because you
Oh my
were
God.
there.
Just called phoenix?
It's just called
Really?
Phoenix.
They
Yep.
did it?
You overthought it. That's 20 points for Steven.
Okay.
You overthought it. You see,
Okay.
this is where, like, you flew like a phoenix, I guess, too close to the sun on that one.
And I caught on fire.
You caught on fire. You were a regular bird, and you went to. I think that's how the phoenix works. It was a regular bird. And
Okay,
it went too high and caught on
okay.
fire. I'm pretty sure that's
All right.
What happened? Yeah.
yeah. Emoji number 4.
So, number 4. So, okay. So I'm looking at this. By the color alone, I think this is a piece of lime. Could it be a piece of lemon? Because I mean, I'm looking at it and it's green. And it looks like a piece of lime. Is it lime or lemon? And is there a lemon emoji already? Like, is this a slice of lime or a slice of lemon?
You tell
It's
us.
green.
Yeah,
it's green.
I'm not sure if you're actually asking me these questions or are we just talking.
I think he's
through
like
it?
asking the universe.
Yeah.
I'm asking the universe.
He's
I'm
looking to the
asking
phoenix and he's asking the question.
The phoenix bird. So this is lime.
You're correct. That is lime.
Ooh.
I'm very happy they've added a lime emoji. Like
Yes.
it's something that's been missing for a long time.
There's
and
a
I
lemon
also
emoji
like
already, right?
there is a lemon emoji, but the lemon
Okay.
emoji is just a lemon. So I'm actually happy they added the lime emoji and it's a wedge because then they visually look more different rather than just like, oh, it's the green lemon. So
Mhm. Okay. Number 4, I mean, it's a mushroom, okay? So it is a mushroom. Do I need to call it anything else? I'm just going to go with mushroom because I have no idea.
I'm afraid, Federico, there is already an emoji called mushroom.
And what is this?
Brown mushroom.
Oh my God.
So currently, you have got 3 correct. You have 60 points. Stephen has 40 points. You have the opportunity to double your points. It rides on this last one, the 6th and final emoji. If you get this correct, you will get 160 points total.
So this is so this is a broken version of an existing emoji. There is an existing emoji. This is a chain. It's my only concern is that it's also used in some contexts for a link, right? So it could be an emoji for a broken link, but it could also it just might as well be like a broken chain.
Wouldn't the broken link emoji be like a man doing like road work? You know, like website under construction, you know?
How else would I like this is a chain. And it's I mean they're doing the little signs to show you that it's like I'm going to go with broken chain.
At the end of the Jeremies for 2024, Steven scores 40 points. Federico scores 160 points.
Yes.
It is broken chain. You got 4 out of 6 correct, Federico. Congratulations.
Thank
you
you,
are the
thank
emoji
you.
whisperer. And that brings our total scores for the quizzes in 2024 to Steven with 340 points and Federico closing the gap with 260 points. Good points haul, Federico.
I'm coming for you, Steven.
And now I will say, Unicode Consortium, more emoji, please. 6 emoji? What's going on? What are you doing? What's going on?
Yeah, they just don't make them like they used to.
They really don't.
Out of all of these, I feel like lime was, and excuse the pun, the lowest hanging fruit here. Like, I don't think I needed
Love
a phoenix emoji, but the lime, like you said, Mike.
No, I genuinely don't know why there is a phoenix emoji. I don't know what that is for. I don't know who asked for it. I'm sure somebody did. I'm sure I could find the paperwork, but like I don't really need to know. But, why is this here?
This episode of Connected is brought to you by ZocDoc. Are you the person in your family who has a reputation for treating yourself to nice things, maybe a new bag, maybe a Vision Pro? Well, if you treat yourself to the top options with everything in life, why settle for finding a doctor? It is your health after all. That's where ZocDoc comes in. ZocDoc is the place where you can find and book tens of thousands of top-tier doctors, all with verified patient reviews. So don't settle. Go for the best and find the right doctor for you. With ZocDoc, you've got more options than you know. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments with them online. Once you find the doc you want, you can book with them immediately, no more awkwardly waiting on hold. And all of these doctors have verified reviews from actual real patients. We're talking about booking appointments with tens of thousands of top-rated, patient-reviewed, credible doctors and specialists. You can filter specifically for ones who take your insurance, are located near you, and treat basically any condition you're searching for. The typical wait time to see a doctor booked on ZocDoc is between 24 and 72 hours. That's it. You can even score same-day appointments. We recently had a change in our health insurance situation at home, and we had to find a couple of new doctors, and ZocDoc is a great tool for that. Go in, search for things, but those reviews really came in clutch. Knowing what actual people think about the service they received, about the people they saw, it's super important, and it really means that you can tangibly see the quality of these doctors. I think it's awesome. So go to ZocDoc.com/connected and download the app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Once again, that's ZocDoc, ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/connected. Our thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring the show and Relay FM.
Have either of you heard of the European Union?
Is it a country?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but there is this thing out there called the European Union, and it has a thing within it called the European Commission. And the European Commission created something called the Digital Markets Act. And that piece of paper is wreaking havoc.
Well, if there's one thing I know is that Apple hates unions. So this seems consistent.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes. If I had a bell, I'd ding it.
I got a bell. Everybody, well, where is it? Here it
You
is.
have to turn on that feature in Zoom. This is the thing. We're not going to explain the DMA. We're not going to explain all the ins and outs of Apple's response, I think, because one, I did it for 90 minutes in Upgrade yesterday.
Yeah,
the
it was
longest
excellent.
chapter I've ever. Thank you. It was a 1 hour and 26-minute chapter inside of the episode. Which I don't think I've ever had a chapter that long before. So read that. John did a really great post on Mac Stories. You read that. I'll also put a link to John Gruber's article in the show notes as well. So that's out there. You probably don't need to hear us talk about it anymore. But I am keen to hear what the two of you think about it. I think I'll start with you, Federico, because this actually truly can impact you, whether the rest of us as users would just look either longingly or with side eye at it.
Side loading eye, you mean?
Well, I actually think you'll find it's called alternative app marketplace eye.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
So wow. So It's a very complicated topic. My 2 cents right now on the politics of it is, I don't think the European Union will be okay with parts of Apple's proposal, and especially, I mean, the core technology fee. I think that is the one aspect that Apple will probably have to rethink, because I think there's so many issues in that fee that just do not play well with any kind of free, or not even necessarily open source app, but just free apps that get more than 1 million users, that may end up having to pay this very expensive monthly or annual, I guess, fees to Apple. So I think that CTF part of the proposal doesn't really sit well with me, and I'd be surprised if the European Union accepts it. But other than that, as a user, so from that perspective, from the perspective that I know as a user, I absolutely cannot wait to see what happens here. I think I will be in this weird scenario with my Apple ID, where I will be using a US Apple ID, but my phone will recognize me as a European user. So I think I will be able, if my theory is correct, and Apple will use a bunch of signals to determine on your phone what is the identifiable region of your device, I think I will be able to access EU features with a US Apple ID. So I will be like a fake John Voorhees traveling to Europe.
I know how they're doing it.
How are they doing it?
So they've created a new system called Country D, which is
Yeah.
just hilarious. And Country D,
Country D. Country D.
it's like D who just like listens to a different type of music, and now they're Country D. You know, like anyway. It is taking 4 things into account to identify a region for you. It is
Let's
your
see.
Apple ID billing address,
Okay, so that's US,
your country location,
Italy,
the region set in settings,
US,
and the device class.
Italy. So it's split for
Well,
me
sorry,
right
no,
now.
the device class is whether it's an iPhone or not, basically.
Okay. Interesting. We'll see. But
I have no. So I expect you, with your current setup, it's going to think you are an American in Italy.
An American in
you
Italy.
will have the US App Store. You will have to change those other 2 parts, like your
Mr.
region and use your European Apple ID to get side loading stuff.
Mr. Fake John Voorhees goes to Europe. That would be my scenario.
OTJ goes to Europe.
Well, it's fake OTJ. It's not. It's fake. Actually, it's fake J. Just it's not OTJ. You know.
Wait, because that would be like OFJ, right? The one false John.
The one false one.
One false John.
OFJ. But maybe if I just change my region setting in settings to Italy, that will be 3 against 1 in Country D. You know.
Yeah.
If they
I
just
have no idea.
if they just do that calculation, like how many factors weigh against this being an American person or a European citizen with a US Apple ID, I don't know. We'll see.
I bet the Apple ID billing address is the key.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, because like if you're in Italy and change your region to Italy, like it still
Doesn't
knows.
matter. It doesn't
You know?
matter.
We'll
It doesn't change. It doesn't change it. The region setting, it only really changes like how time is displayed, and like I still can keep using the US App Store. So anyway, that we'll get to that when we'll see. But I think I absolutely cannot wait, especially for browsers, for non-WebKit browsers. I think it'll be great to finally have some choice in terms of not having to use WebKit and being able to use Chromium, being able to use other engines with actually browsers that are not just reskins of Safari. Being able to do even small things like install extensions that are not available in Safari on a mobile browser. Which is something that I cannot do right now. And of course, the third-party marketplaces. Besides, assuming that Epic is going to do an Epic Game Store, that seems pretty much a given at this point.
They have said they're going to do one.
Exactly.
They've already announced the Epic Game Store. they've announced Fortnite will return
Yeah.
on the Epic Game Store.
I am fully expecting for actually like alternative app stores that include the kinds of apps that you just cannot get from the App Store, like Dolphin, the Dolphin emulator for iOS. There is an iOS version of Dolphin that you can only install with Alt Store, the semi jailbreaking. It's not really jailbreaking method. Those like emulators will be great to have on iOS from relatively reputable sources based on Marketplace Kit. So that would be fantastic.
How sick is it going to be to get
Yeah.
like a 3DS emulator
Yes,
on your
like
iPhone with a
Citra
backbone?
yes,
You know?
exactly. So yeah, I am pretty happy about all of this. I know that it's not in our circles. It's maybe not a popular take especially in US centric media that like to poke fun at the European Union and their draconian laws and complexities. But I think it's actually great for us. And so and payment methods, all this stuff I am really happy with as a user. I find it's funny because like they, whenever I read on these US based blogs that, when you travel to Europe, you are bombarded with GDPR notices and cookie consents. Like, yeah, we see those, but also we have a proper governmental entity that checks those things for us. And the benefit is like you get all these options and you get data portability. So there are plenty of things to like.
There are cookie notices everywhere, but GDPR really did scare people. Like it scared companies into being smarter about how they handle data.
Yeah. So
the one thing I wish the European Commission would do is manage the communication around the laws different. So like you mentioned it, and lots of people are talking about like, the European Commission are not going to accept the CTF, right? This is something that people think right now. The problem is then they're not telling this to Apple, right? And from the way that I understand it, they won't tell them either. Like it will be solved in case law. So Apple will launch, right, their proposal on March 7th, and then it will come after that maybe somebody will try and make a complaint to the European Commission. Then they will rule on whether the CTF should exist. That is the way I understand that this happens. I don't think that is a effective like lawmaking process. Like I think it would make more sense if Apple submitted this to the European Commission and then they said yes or no, rather than waiting to try and solve it in case law. Like I don't like. If they are the ones asking for it, I feel like they should be the ones judging it by Apple making this submission. Like for everything that I've been able to understand is like this will just begin on March 7th and then we see what happens after that, which it just feels inefficient for everybody involved. But
that is true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to me the idea of a fee to Apple makes sense, but I think that there has to be some kind of there has to be money involved to the developer too, right? Like, then the idea of the core technology fee makes sense to me. Like, because if an app is purely free and it's never going to make any money, it can't exist if it has to pay, right? Although again, right, like it still has to hit the million first, but I think it would scare people. People would be worried, right, that they would be very successful and like it wouldn't work for them. So I feel like that with that amendment, I think it would be fine.
No.
To me, like that, if you have a business model, you are aiming to make money, then you now owe Apple money as a licensing fee. What do you think, Stephen? Welcome to app development, by the way.
Oh yeah. What a week. Disclosure.
I said to Federico, I text Stephen during the week, and I was like, on last week's episode, we talk about like, you're joining with David and now you're in this, and sometimes we're going to have to talk about some stuff around app development. And then within those 7 days, all of this happens. It's probably the biggest thing, like from an effect in maybe like the last 10 years.
Yeah, just right in the deep end. I will echo first what other people have said. The upgrade episode is really good. It's the best explanation I've consumed over this.
Thank you.
And so thank you for your work on that. I know that it was basically your whole weekend, I think. So
yeah.
Thank you for doing that. something Jason said on that episode really jumped out at me. And it was the idea that there's a whiteboard somewhere at Apple's headquarters where they are drawing lines as close to the rules as they can. And that really resonated with me because reading through this, I mean, the fact that it took you so long to explain this and to walk through the various like ins and outs of it, but not even that, just like the amount of fine print, the amount of trade-offs developers have to consider is just, it feels like it's way more complicated than it needed to be. But that's because Apple is coloring as close to the lines as possible here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there's been a lot of conversation around Apple's attitude towards third-party developers and, you know, is that coming to play in the Vision Pro? Like, I don't know. But it is clear that Apple is going into this as an unwilling participant in change. And that continues to be disappointing. I mean, the App Store was introduced in 2008. This year, the App Store turns what? That's 16 years old. And while there have been changes, the fundamental business setup is basically the same. And the world has changed around it in a way that makes it probably not tenable forever. I do expect that other parts of the world will want this or other things. And we're going to continue to see a fragmentation of how iOS works depending on where you live or where your Apple ID thinks you live in Federico and John's cases. But yeah, it's just messy. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of developers that we know whose apps that like we, you know, get awards on our shows and trophies for Mac Stories, like a lot of indie developers aren't going to really consider this because the potential trade-offs aren't worth it, or the risk of that core technology fee coming back to bite them is not worth it. But for companies like Epic, who have a game store already on Android, yeah, of course they're going to do it. There are questions, right? Because one of the stipulations is you can't have a one company store. So Meta can't open a store with just its apps. And like, so like, what does that mean? Like, will they lump in with somebody else? I suspect if we fast forward a year from now, there may be 2 or 3 reasonably sized third-party marketplaces out there, but the bulk of the business will still take place in Apple's App Store. And you only go to those alternatives if something you want isn't available in Apple's App Store. Because another condition of this is Apple's rules around what they do and don't allow in their store in terms of content. So apps that include adult material or gambling or, you know, there's a list of things they don't approve. Apple can no longer, well, they can't enforce those rules in third-party marketplaces. And so it may be that if you want something like that, you got to go elsewhere. But I think for most people, most of the time, this probably isn't even going to make a big impact to them. And that I find interesting. Like, we're going through all of this, and the EU is trying to make things more competitive, but I don't think it's quite there. And I think for most people, it'll just be business as usual, and there'll be a few notable exceptions to that.
Yeah.
You mentioned Epic. Like the Epic Game Store, I don't believe they have one for Android. It's on PC. Right?
Okay.
And I don't say that to correct you. It's more that just like they said it's coming to iOS. So to fit with these rules, they have to spin up like a bunch of agreements, right? Like they have to get other games, which may be very possible for them because they have lots of very good relationships. But they have all of their own games, and Epic own a bunch of games, which I hope some of them, as well as Fortnite, but you might get Rocket League and some of the other games come to iOS. But they would need to bring external parties into the system too, which I'm sure they would do because they have a system of which to do this, right? Like the Epic Game Store is like the App Store. It's like it's a competitor to Steam, basically, right? People submit, and also Epic pay to bring people to the platform. But like, it's kind of interesting that like they've said they're going to do this, where they have like 6 weeks to like actually set up an entire system to allow for iOS games to try and join the platform. And also, I imagine probably no one will want to do it. So maybe Epic's going to have to start cutting some checks for
Maybe.
iOS as well as they do for PC. So
Yeah.
it could be interesting. Because like if you're a game, like especially if you're a game maker, like I don't know if it's like beneficial to do this right now, unless again, like you're the type of game that doesn't exist on iOS because it can't. And then I would wonder, would Epic accept it in the Epic Game Store anyway? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I did want to ask the two of y'all what you think about the game streaming changes, because those are changes to the App Store globally. You two are like the people in my life I go to for gaming commentary. So what, Mike, if you could explain that rule change and maybe what the two of you think that's going to bring or what it means.
Well, previously to now, a service like Game Pass, so Xbox Game Pass, would be not impossible to have launched on iOS, but not simple either. Because what Apple wanted was, this is a pure streaming service, right? So there's no games actually being properly downloaded to a device. It's all played over the web, right? And you're streaming like it's game streaming from the cloud. What Apple wanted was for Microsoft to submit every title on Game Pass as individual games, and you would download each one of them, which was just like completely went around the whole point of what Game Pass is, which is like, imagine basically if Apple said to Netflix, you have to submit every movie as an individual app, right? Like that's effectively what they were asking Microsoft to do. So Microsoft said they weren't going to do it. Apple's now said you can now submit a single app, and essentially like you've got to still abide by the rules. So every game has to abide by the rules. They haven't really been super clear about if or how they're going to try and like, I think this is kind of like a, just don't mess around and we won't take you down, I think is similar to how they would do a Netflix, right? Like, you know, because they can't actually review all of the content on Netflix, right? There has to be a kind of like a mutually assured destruction kind of thing with that. I expect they'll do a similar thing with the game streaming services. And that rolls out to everyone. It's available now. The rule is now available. They can do that, and they just have to make sure that the age rating for the highest rating on of any game, right? So if they have a NC-17 game, that has to be the rating on the App Store app for Xbox Game Pass. So I think I saw a headline today. I wish I'm trying to find it now. That Microsoft seemed to be unhappy, but I think again it might have been about the core technology fee. I'm not sure if it was about this, but as of right now, I don't think Microsoft has said one way or another as to whether they would be willing to bring Game Pass. But I kind of feel like it would be very strange if they didn't, right? Like it seems like they've gotten what they're asking for, but I don't believe you have to accept the new business terms to do this. But maybe you do, and maybe that's the problem. Like I actually don't. I don't know what their concern is. If I can find this article, I'll put it in the show notes, though.
Okay. So yeah, that's changes coming with the DMA. This rolls out in March, and like you said, Mike, it's very well there may be additional changes as this gets sorted out in courts, and as other governments, look at this and be like, oh, maybe we want something like that too.
All right, I found what I was looking for. Basically, they are saying the core technology fee is not something that they agree with, and even the Xbox president says, we believe constructive conversations drive change, that Apple's new policy is a step in the wrong direction. So they're unhappy. I don't know if they're gonna what they're gonna do, but they seem to be unhappy about this because obviously they would like to be able to be free to do whatever they want.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. With Squarespace, you stand out with a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything, products, services, and even the content you create. Squarespace has everything you need all in one place. Say that you're going to start a website covering the Vision Pro and Vision OS. Well, what are you going to need? You're probably going to want a blog. That's just built into Squarespace. You can turn that on. Supports RSS. You can have images, video embeds, all sorts of awesome stuff. And the Fluid engine makes it really easy to unlock your creativity in laying out those posts and pages. Then maybe you're going to sell stickers. You can add products to your online store. They have all the tools you need to start selling online, and your customers get flexible payment options. So you can, of course, accept credit cards and PayPal, but also Apple Pay. And customers get the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. I love building on Squarespace because all these tools are in one place. You're not stringing a bunch of different things together. And it really is easy to make something that looks super professional, and you're not becoming a web developer to do it. They have all those tools out of the box. So go to squarespace.com/connected for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/connected and the code connected to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain name. Once again, that's squarespace.com/connected and the code connected for 10% off your first purchase. Our thanks to Squarespace for their support of Connected and Relay FM. It is the day of Vision Pro reviews as we record this. We got a bunch of links in the show notes. MKBHD, The Verge, Joanna Stern at the Wall Street Journal, iJustine, Brian Tong, lots of great stuff out there. And I kind of wanted to hear from y'all, like your sort of high-level takeaways. Let's start maybe with the unboxing experience and sort of how Apple presents it, because that all looks super high-end and super cool.
And super big.
Big box. It's a big old box. I'm sorry for anyone who's getting it shipped. Big old box.
Yeah, it's a giant box. That thing is gonna cost me hundreds of dollars to get it shipped. I mean, look at that thing, right? But it looks nice. It looks very nice.
And there's a lot in the box, right? Like, we knew this already, but like there's just a lot of stuff, which I think is good because of how expensive it is. You want to have everything. And like, I actually am pretty pleased that they included the power adapter, because it would have just been too many headlines, right? Like, it costs this $3,000 product didn't include a power adapter. It would have been every
you should
headline.
write headlines. You should write headlines
I'll be
for
good
other
at that, I
websites.
think.
Yeah.
You want me to do it for you?
Sure, why not? You can be my Mike GPT.
This app has that one trick. That's gonna be me.
Good job. No, I really like how all the different accessories are laid out, and I'm especially a fan of the design of the carrying case. Even though it's giant, I really like the white aesthetic. I think, Steven, you tweeted that it reminded you of like the Apollo era.
Yeah.
That's I was trying to understand, what does this remind me of, and it's that. So I agree that design, sort of cushiony feel, that I really dig. And also
Isn't
how
it interesting? Like, it kind of I like it too, but it really sticks out. Like, they don't make anything else that looks even remotely like this.
No, they don't.
Interesting.
And also the what's it called? Like the cover, like the front cover. I think that I'm gonna use a lot. Like when I leave the device just sort of laying around the house.
Oh yeah.
That I'm gonna use a lot. But I'm also looking forward to third-party versions of both the case and the front cover.
I think Nilai's review at The Verge was the most comprehensive. It's a written review and a video where Marquez and some others sort of set this up as like impressions unboxing. I don't know which way is right, but I do expect The Verge to revisit it as things evolve. The thing that jumped out at me, I think the most in his review, was talking about pass-through. So this is the Vision Pro cameras capturing the space around you and feeding it into your displays. And he mentioned several times, like, you have the feeling you're looking through a camera. You're not necessarily looking at real life. And there's some trade-offs with that. And the most interesting one to me was that the Vision Pro only shows about half the colors we can see as actual humans. And I think in iJustine's video, like, at some point she's wearing a pink sweater or like a long sleeve shirt. And the pink the camera sees on her versus the pink we see through the screen capture of the Vision Pro, like, they're different. Like, it's not as vibrant, it's not as bright. And I just wonder how that's going to be. Like, is the world going to be a little bit muted? I'm out of the three of us, I'm the only one who hasn't tried it. So maybe this wasn't as groundbreaking to y'all, but that definitely sort of caught my attention.
From my demo, I remember that it was like a very nondescript, kind of boring room. And now in hindsight, I kind of wonder if they didn't put any particularly colorful piece of furniture inside the room on purpose so that you wouldn't notice like, oh, wait, that bright pink or red color is kind of different. When I believe there was like, it was a gray sofa and some very neutral.
Yeah, but that is also their color palette, though, right? Like it looked like an Apple store in there.
Right. Yeah, it looked like that. So it was hard to tell.
The color thing was surprising to me, but like I remember at the time saying that it looked like I was looking through a low light camera, right? Like a camera in low light, which gets a little grainy. Like that's what it looked like to me. But the picture quality and the like the resolution and the responsiveness, I think is more important than the color accuracy.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
to get it to look like you're looking for the only downside to be there's not enough color.
It's a pretty good downside. Yes.
Color's not going to make you motion sick.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And like Neil, I did mention that like it can happen, right? And you know, it can happen. It can still happen. People need to just be aware that like you might get surprised. This thing about like the color and stuff, it kind of encapsulates the way that I feel about all of these reviews. Like I watched this one, I watched Joanna Stern's. I haven't looked at Brian Tong's yet because it's the longest. But
It's
that
an
means
hour.
Yeah,
Madman.
I'm really excited to watch it, but I have
Mhm.
not been able to do it because just the time that these came out and the time that we were recording. But it kind of the color thing kind of encapsulates the way that I'm feeling about these reviews in general, which is I 100% expected there to be downsides about this product. Like I did not think that it would be perfect by any stretch, but the ways in which it is not perfect are the ways that I expected, and the ways in which it is good are the ways that I hoped.
Yeah, that's he's very this Michael guy is very good at summarizing things.
I'm good at headlines and also summaries.
And you are one feature away from being a ChatGPT competitor, my friend. No, I really liked Joanna's review because I think that review did a really good job at conveying what it feels like to use the Vision Pro in real life. And my favorite moment from the review, from the video, was when Joanna tried to cook while wearing the Vision Pro. And the moment when I went, oh man, that's so sick. I cannot wait to get this device, was when she took the Crouton cooking app, excellent app by Devin Davis. And she put the timers, like the individual timers for different dishes, for different things that she was cooking on the stove, right above the pots. So that felt like the moment for me. We're like, yeah, I mean, maybe you're not supposed to cook while wearing the Vision Pro, but you look at that with
It's cool.
little pieces of computer UI that are contextually placed on top of a real life object, and you're like, that's very cool. That's very neat.
But then also little things like, all right, so Nilay was like, there's not really any window management. I was like, I expected that to be the case.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, but I can have like a million windows, and I'm like, yes.
Yes.
it's what I expected was there wasn't going to be great window management tools because there's not third party ones, and they're not going to allow that. But what I was worried about is there might be like a 3-window Safari limit, right? But he's got them everywhere.
Yes.
Or like when he's like, "Oh, bad news about the Mac experience. Only one display." And it's like, I knew this, so I'm not bothered about that. But it's like, oh, but universal control works. I'm like, yes, right? Because
Yeah.
this was a thing I didn't know, and the whole time I've been like, oh, I love my keyboards, but like they're not gonna work because they're all mechanical keyboards that are plugged in by cables. It's like, but if they're connected to my Mac, it will work, and then I can use my nice keyboard with the Vision Pro at my desk. Like,
Yeah. So the thing I posted on Mastodon and then I sent to you guys, I wrote like, of all things, I bet it's the Vision Pro that's going to make me a Mac user again. And so that's something I was thinking while watching these videos. So the problem for me will be that the integration with the traditional computing platforms is going to be Mac only with the Vision Pro. You can only sort of transfer your Mac screen to the Vision Pro. You cannot do the same with an iPad Pro, which is a pretty big miss in my opinion. However, I want to see if maybe they could do the same with the next iPad Pro, although I doubt it. Ideally, I should be able to do what these reviewers have been doing with their MacBooks and view an iPadOS virtual display inside the Vision Pro, in Vision OS. Right now, that's not possible. I wonder if it will be possible with the next iPad Pro, but I know that for now, I'm just going to use the MacBook Air more because that's the only sort of a non-Vision OS computer experience that I can see inside Vision OS. And sure, I mean, in proper lighting conditions, I guess I could just look at my iPad Pro's display. Nilay did this great test where he showed looking at the iPhone with proper lighting, and it was fine via the video pass-through of the Vision Pro. And he could make out text and he could scroll. There was no latency. That was great. The system started struggling in low light, obviously. So that is also something I'm thinking about. Like, well, if I'm using the Vision Pro at night, do I want to still turn on a light around me so to make sure that I don't run into, blurry text or too much noise in video pass-through? But still, the idea of you can see your Mac apps in a virtual Mac desktop in Vision OS, that's going to make me use the MacBook Air a lot more, unless that also becomes possible with iPadOS.
I mean, technically, if you use a Vision Pro, you're still using an iPad. Technically, we could get this on a technicality if you want.
Big brain. You don't need an iPad Pro and you're using Vision OS.
But they weigh the same, so it's the same experience.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because again, with Nilay, he mentioned in his review that Apple told him that Vision OS was based on iPadOS, which I didn't remember this, or I didn't know this. Like, I feel like I could have assumed it, but like for it to be said so clearly, I guess it's important. But my hope is, though, that that's the base, and now it goes into its own. Like, it continues going into places that are its own. I don't want them to be tied together. That's not what I want.
It really feels like Vision OS is the best possible version of iPadOS to date.
Sure.
Like as many windows as you want, a way to view macOS, and the same familiar app ecosystem, right? It's the ultimate version of iPadOS, but it's not on an iPad.
Well, it's literally what you've been asking for the last 2-3 years, right?
Yes.
It's these features on iPadOS.
It's the ultimate version of iPadOS. Like, if you think about it, right now, the Vision Pro is the real iPad Pro.
The best iPad Pro is the one you have on your face, as they say.
There's also that. See, that's also a very good headline. You two should team up together and do a company, but not a podcast in one that writes headlines.
Okay.
For other new venture idea.
Maybe I can be an editor for Project Tapestry in the future.
Yeah, there you go.
One thing that I am worried about is text entry. I know you just mentioned the universal control stuff. The virtual keyboard kind of doesn't seem that awesome. But then I was reminded of Federico's beloved 12 South accessory, the Magic Bridge, where you snap in a trackpad and keyboard together. And I bought one, and I have a trackpad on the way. I already have a spare keyboard. I think it's going to be like my dedicated Vision Pro input system. So I can sit on the couch and have the keyboard and trackpad all nice and neat.
Yeah. On Mastodon, Kaustian, developer Kaustian, I don't remember their name, their Kaustian on Mastodon as the username, posted this excellent guide. It's a GitHub link. They did some truly astounding work in trying to find any good third-party keyboard trackpad combos that are not what you just mentioned, Stephen. An Apple Magic Keyboard and an Apple Magic Trackpad sort of tied together. Are there any third-party ways to have that sort of lap usage setup? And there is one way, you guys are gonna love it. The one way that is possible right now is an old and discontinued bridge keyboard.
Oh no.
Hold on, it gets better. That you can only get, I believe, from Amazon US. Specifically, it's the older version, the one with the weird hinges, with the weird like clips where you put your iPad inside.
Yep.
So it's the 12.9 Pro Plus. It's not the Max Plus, it's the old Pro Plus model. And the reason is that keyboard, if you can get one from Amazon with the latest firmware. Remember, we've been over this before. The Bridge website no longer offers a firmware update tool. So if you can get a unit from Amazon US that just so happen to have the latest firmware, that keyboard has the proper trackpad descriptor that lets you use multi-touch gestures with Vision OS.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the best trackpad is Apple's trackpad, I think, is what we've learned from this.
Honestly,
version.
yes. But all this to say, I am trying my luck with this method, with the Caustian method. I put in an order for an old bridge keyboard.
This is the person who
it's making the HDMI over the network stream.
No,
yes.
Isn't this the person who did the they were the first person that we saw that took the Touch ID out of the...
Oh, it's possible? Yeah.
Yeah.
Chaos does all kinds of cool things. Yeah. Yes, all kinds of cool things. They're also making a cloud streaming gaming app for Vision OS. So there's that. Yeah.
Multi-talented.
Yeah, so I am waiting for this old bridge keyboard from Amazon US. It's coming Monday. So
you actually went for it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know me, right? I got to do it. We'll see. But yeah, I was surprised by that text input preview UI. I think that's something new that we hadn't seen before. Like when you're looking at your so if you're wearing the Vision Pro and you look down at a keyboard and you're typing on the keyboard, like a Bluetooth keyboard, for example, a little sort of contextual UI pops up above the keyboard to show you a close-up preview of the text you're entering. That's very nicely done.
So last minute hype check. Do the reviews change how we feel about our pre-orders?
Not really. I'm as excited. Yes, I am more excited than before, I would say. Like Mike said, it is limited in the ways I thought it was going to be limited. It is expensive in all the ways I knew it was going to be expensive. But it seems like these reviews have removed the last doubts that I had in terms of how many windows can I open? Like, can I really fill my workspace all around me with windows all over the place? And I can do that. And that made me more excited. Yes.
I'm just as excited as I was before. It kind of hasn't changed because I'm not really necessarily tied to like really feeling like this has to work. I'm just excited for the ride. Like that's kind of where I am. Like whatever ends up happening. I will say one thing that I was surprised about because my expectations are so low. I think the personas look better than I thought they were going to. Even when people were saying how bad they looked, I thought it was kind of impressive how much they look like. So there's amongst a couple of reviews, there's like a call that happened between MKBHD, Nilay Patel, and Joanna Stern, and like weird and wonderful things happened during that. But even though they didn't look right, they did actually look like them, which was very interesting to me. And there was a lot of weird stuff happening. Like maybe they can do something to try and make it better. But like I've been very down on it. So like that actually surprised me because it looked better than I thought. But yeah, in general, I am as excited as I was before. But I think of the three of us, Stephen was the least excited. So I think I'm actually pretty intrigued to know if your feeling has been changed.
I have more of a feeling of this is really cool tech, but I'm not sure what it's for yet. Like that feeling has been amplified through this.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see. I will say I found it very interesting that all the reviews I watched like talked or showed like, hey, you can bring a Mac into this, and like Federico said earlier, that's really interesting. But we'll see. The hardware is very exciting. Tune back in for the software, I guess.
Mm.
Well, that does it for this week. Next time we talk to you, we'll be changed people.
Hey, maybe. I don't know yet what's going to happen with my shipment.
Yeah, I'll be
We'll
a changed
see.
person. Mike will be a changed
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. Federico might be a very upset person.
I may be a changed person with a much lighter wallet. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, until then, you can follow us all online. Federico is the editor-in-chief of MacStories.net. You can follow him on Mastodon as Viticci at MacStories.net and on Threads as Viticci. That's Viticci. You can follow Mike's work on other shows here on Relay FM. Seriously, go check out that Upgrade episode. You can also find Mike's work over at Cortex Brand. Mike is on Mastodon as iMike at Mike.social and iMike on Threads. You can follow me as ISMH86 on Threads or ISMH at eworld.social on Mastodon. I co-host Mac Power Users here on Relay each and every Sunday, and my writing is over at 512pixels.net. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, ZocDoc and Squarespace, and until next time, say goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Cheerio.
Bye, y'all.